there is moral justification for that. So if you lend me that, if you had you not lent me that money now, you could invest it in what we call risk-free asset, where you know you're going to be paid back, such as short-term treasury bills. And well, you're going to get some money back that is over and above what you put in, right? So right now, let's find out what 1 year treasuries pay currently. You can look at it in a lot of places, but I look at it from CNBC. I don't know why these guys are selling NVIDIA, because Chinese people have their own chat GPT. Microsoft, I get it. I mean, it's a competition. Uh, NVIDIA is the hardware guy. They're not doing the hardware. Markets, bonds, current 1 year rate is 4.14. Let's round it down to 4%. So if you lent the U.S. government $10,000 now, they promise to pay you $10,040 1 year from now. Those trade at a pure discount. Technically speaking, you're going to be giving them something a little bit higher than 9,600. They'll pay you back 10,000. They'll figure out, what that amount is. So $10,000 today is equivalent to $10,040 1 year from now. Okay. I basically call that kind of the exchange rate. Where are you from, Jose?
I'm from Barcelona.
Barcelona. Right kind of man. Catalan, hopefully. Anyway, I'm a big Barca fan. You're not? That's why they don't allow you to live there?
Yeah.
I mean, this is like being from Boston and being a Yankees fan. Are you a Real Madrid fan? Oh, at least. Good. Good. Trust me, if you're a Real Madrid fan, that would have reduced your value quite a bit. Being from Barca and being a Real Madrid fan, no thank you. It's like living in Lexington and being a Duke fan. Trust me, that's even worse. I mean, you guys don't know anything about real football, at least most of you don't. So I just wanted to put it in terms you can understand. Anyway, if you travel to England, can you spend euros there? No. I mean, you have to exchange them into pounds, and then you can spend. I mean, I was in England and Wales last summer. I took a lot of my cash uh, and exchanged it there. There are little places that you should know. For example, I worked in London for a living back in the late 90s. The best exchange rates you get is in Marks and Spencer's. If you go to regular exchange kiosk, they're going to cream you. Post office is not that bad. Worst case scenario, you can actually take it out of your own ATM. You pay a fee, but you get much better exchange rates. Anyway, so England and Spain, as far as money is concerned, they're from they're different countries. So in that sense, today and 1 year from now are different countries. They have their own currency, and we're gonna figure out what the exchange rate between them should be. That's what time value of money is all about. In fact, I'm gonna go ahead and write that equation. I jokingly call that fundamental theorem of finance because economics, you may or may not know, is known as the dismal science. So if somebody asks, sometimes I say, I'm a scientist. I say, you're not a scientist. I'm an economist. I'm a dismal scientist. I didn't say what kind of scientist I was. Some notation to designate interest rates in what we call nominal terms, regular dollar terms. We're going to use capital R. I'm gonna generically call this period interest rate. At this point, I haven't made any determination about how long that period is. It is an abstract period. Uh, I'm gonna use cap T as number of periods. Actually, I'm gonna use small t for that. I'm gonna use the designation PV for present value or value now. And I'm gonna use a generic FVT. This is future value after T periods. And I'm gonna do a dollar $CT. This is the cash flow that comes in at the end of period T. So if I say dollar C1, that's the cash amount that you're gonna get 1 year, exactly 1 year from now. Okay, assuming the period is equal to year. The so-called jokingly fundamental equation of finance, future value T periods from now is equal to present value times 1 plus that period interest rate raised to the power T. Okay, this process is called compounding. If I tell you the value now using interest rate, you'll be able to figure out what that money is going to be worth if you invest that for 10 years at 4% using that equation. I don't even need Excel for that. For example, suppose PV is $10,000, T is 10, R is 4%. This Microsoft OneNote has that built-in inline calculator. So I could type 10,000. My keyboard is having repeated issues. Times 1 plus 4% raised to the power 10. Unlike Excel, you put the equals after. So 10 years from now, that number is going to be 14,800 and some change. If you wanted to figure out what it would be after 40 years, well, you need to change that into 40, not 440. That would be 48,000, whatever. Okay. As you can see, this is somewhat pedestrian way of doing it. It's almost how you would do it in your calculator if you had scientific calculator where you could exponentiate stuff. We're going to be a little bit civilized, and we're going to do all of this in Excel. But before doing that, let's highlight things in this equation. I'm going to give you guys these notes as a PDF. So if you would rather watch me instead of write down, that's fine. I mean, I'm not suggesting one way or the other. It varies from person to person. I never took any notes in my almost entire student life. A, I had friends who took notes, and B, I understand things much better if I'm not worried about taking notes. especially in classes that had mathematical applications. There are four things in that equation: future value, present value, interest rate, and length of time. If I tell you any three of them, you should be able to figure out the fourth. Sometimes easily, sometimes with a little bit of algebra. So PV is simple. Whatever the future value is, divide that by 1 plus r raised to the power t. This process is known as discounting. So you're discounting into the present. Okay. The others are a little bit somewhat. R would be and I don't want you to memorize any of these formulas. And T would be do you guys know what that ln notation is? It's short for natural logarithm or logarithm to the base e. E is a number. It's actually a irrational number, which means it is a number where none of the digits ever repeat themselves. There's no pattern, just like pi or square root of 2. Irrational doesn't mean it's not a number that's against logic. Who knows why we call such numbers irrational numbers? Because they cannot be written as ratio of two integers. Anytime you have a ratio, okay, we call those rational numbers. 1/2 is a rational number. 523 over 795 is a rational number. 1/3, even though I cannot finish writing the decimals, it's still a rational number because the threes repeat. Irrational numbers are numbers that cannot be written as ratio of two integers. In fact, if you ever wanted to know how smart those ancient mathematicians were, there's a nice little proof that square root of 2 is not a rational number. And that proof is by a little known guy named Euclid. He lived a little after Alexander the Great died. He was in the Ptolemaic Egypt.